Oh, do as they say.
No, I started streaming now. What I'm gonna do is I've got the stream in the background with our footage there. I don't know whether it's played the one where I blocked the lupus and snipe him at close range. I think that one might actually be on now. And we're live. Right, so I'll just slap this in chat. Okay, so for everyone that's here and is currently watching, oh crap, what the, that moment where my am I? Oh, there we go. It's because I've got the media source levels as well on my OBS now, so I'm like looking at the control panel, and the control panel didn't say anything about my audio, and I'm like, wait a minute, what?
Yeah, just as a little ahead here, I kind of just woke up from a nap actually, so I'm a little groggy, so I may like slip up with my words here and there.
It's totally fine. I mean, I kind of did the same after like finishing before. I was like, I'll just take a break, and then I kind of
And then
fell
you ended
asleep
up falling
upstairs.
asleep.
Yeah, I fell asleep upstairs because I was like, I don't want to touch anything for a while. I'll give my hands a break, and I fell asleep upstairs.
Dang, he
So,
doesn't even want to touch Jen.
oh god. So yeah, I've been awake for like not awake. I've been asleep for like 14 hours before that. Anyway, after being on the Discord with Mattia, so it was one of those where I was like, I've slept like 2 days. I can stay up a little bit longer. So for anyone that's just joining in, it's gonna be me, Sin, and Boaty mainly talking about stuff that happened with me and Sin trying to play Maxi Boost again. And with Boaty being the more experienced one, Boaty can kind of shed a little bit more light on things or talk about them with a little bit more experience than we can. And hopefully people in chat will also be able to chime in, cause yeah, it was crazy. For those who don't know, before this, the only thing that I played in terms of the versus titles was the PSP title, and I actually had kind of fun with that, but that's only because the AI wasn't too aggressive and not too cowardly either. And that was the kind of thing that I really enjoyed, where the AI had some sort of balance and I could easily enjoy it. The problem with that being that it wasn't against other players, so I never got used to playing against anyone else. And then the other title that I played was Versus on PS4, just standard Versus, which everybody has told me is absolutely terrible. And I played that with a friend from work, and we only played 1v1, so we kind of had these nice little battles where we'd both be messing around and trying out multiple different suits, and that's where I started messing around and believing that I was okay at using the God Gundam, but clearly that's not the case. So, so going into this, everyone's like, dude, you gotta try Maxi, you've gotta try Maxi, it's the better version, it's gonna be great. And I go in, I try the God Gundam online, because I didn't realize you can go versus PC for this online beta thing that's going on at the moment before the game's released, and I proceeded to have my ass handed to me, and then I go on a little bit more, and I'm just like, okay, clearly I don't know what I'm doing here. I've not had enough time on this. I need some practice. I go versus the AI for a little bit, and I managed to learn a little bit of the God Gundam again, and the Keradim. I mess around with the Zabanya, but I'm not very good with it, and I mess around a little bit with Dynamas as well, and the Shadow Gundam, and I'm like, okay, I can run Dynamas kind of well. Keradim's okay with its poke, and Shadow Gundam you can just mess around like a madman, so that's not too bad. Ion, I'm not going to be doing any tomorrow. I'll explain that in a bit. So, so Sin will back me up on this later on, but yeah, the first part, what happens is you'll see this on Discord. I come in on Discord and I'm like, right, who wants to actually play this morning? Because it was like really early and my hands were feeling good. And I'm like, okay, I think I can survive this for a little bit and not have too much damage. And as we were just stating before we went live, I was saying about how time had flown because we ended up spending 4 hours on it. And
Yeah, the matches, they pass by so quick, but at the same time you play so many you don't realize until the hours go by.
I know, man. I don't know how many matches we played because like it was nuts. I expected it to be kind of like GBO in terms of like you play like a 15-minute match and then you get like four of those in the space of an hour and you're like, okay, there's the hour gone. But no, the way that it's split up is that it's actually pretty fast, which I was not expecting. Um, but yeah, Boaty comes in and Harut and proceeds to wreck everybody. And I end up playing around a little bit. You actually see footage in the background of us playing here. Um, and we did some really funny stuff. Like, in the process of learning how to play the game with Boaty, which was a very good experience, I I managed to perform a decent sniping role with Dynamis and a bit of an annoyance with Shadow Gundam to people. And we won how many games? It was something like 12 in a row or something like that.
We won a few in a row.
It
Don't
was
know how many in general.
it was really stupid. It felt like 12 anyway, because we had this streak where Boaty would constantly grab everybody's attention, and I'd just be sat at the back sniping everybody. And we had
Everyone seems to hate my Harut missiles.
dude, your Harut was hilarious. Like, do you want to go into that in what you were managing to pull off? Because I don't want to just be talking all the time here.
Yeah, it was a lot of missile spam.
There was one, I think it's this one that's currently showing in the background on stream now, where you ended up dropping the missile container and it nuked somebody and finished them off at the same time.
Oh yeah, because for some reason the missile container is a nuke.
Absolutely loved that one, because most of the time these were kills where I was either flailing around randomly trying to deal with someone or busy trying to snipe them in the back. Next minute they get killed out of nowhere and I'm like, wait a minute, what's happening here? We had some really funny ones. I don't know whether it's shown it on stream already, but we had one where I started learning how to use Dynamis' GN shield and or the armor cape thing that it has, and that was so funny watching somebody in a lupus come at me with its mace sword thing and smash into the shield and then get sniped at close range, and that was the finishing kill.
Yeah, that was amazing.
The thing is, I was getting like really stupid moments where I'd have like two mobile suits chasing after me like the entire time, and Sin will probably back me up on this later on, but I feel like when it's 2v1, the game just becomes ridiculously unfun, mainly because you get put in this situation where if you're not getting hit from one side, you're getting chased down by somebody who's doing melee, and as a result, if you get knocked into the air because I don't think anyway, you can correct me on this or anybody else can correct me in chat if they know, there doesn't seem to be a way to cancel out or recover in midair. So it's like, the moment you get hit in midair and you have to do that backflip animation to recover, or, you know, to sort of make a recovery, or it seems like it anyway, just to right yourself again. In the time that you're doing that, somebody can just punish you like crazy, and as a result you can just stay up in the air for ages, because I found that I was getting juggled a lot by Bile at one point.
It depends. If you want to make gameplay safer, you should extend burst is a thing. Whereas with fighting and shooting bursts, you have to wait for a full bar to break out of combos. Extend burst only takes half the bar.
Right. Yeah, what I was doing was I was deliberately looking at what suit I was playing and being like, okay, I'm a sniper this time, so I'm gonna go shooting, or I'm melee this time, so I'm gonna go all fighting. I never really used the even one, which was a bit of a problem.
Yeah. To be fair though, Isle is kind of like how do I put it? It's its own problem.
Exram says Bile was a menace to everything. Yeah,
That
you
is
said that before, didn't you?
True.
I think I managed to block Bile once with Dynamis' shield. Freedom says just fly up and away from melees. I mean, I try and do that, but I find that most of the time, oh god, there's that finisher where I managed to shoot. That was the lupus with the anti-orbital gun there with Dynamis.
Yeah.
That was a good finish of that. I find that most of the time when I'm jumping away from people, I boost way too high. It's like, I don't know whether it's just me with my boost gauge and not being conservative with it, but when I'm boosting, I use the entire gauge just to get as high as possible, but then I'm expecting the suit when I'm locked on or when I'm fully charged with the sniper to automatically right itself into a position where it's just shooting directly down at the enemy, but it never does that. It shoots at an angle, so it leaves me kind of in a stupid situation, and I feel like that's where I got hit quite a lot, was me just going straight up trying to avoid people, and then as a result I'm getting punished when I'm on the way back down because they're just like, oh, he's coming back down pretty close to me and he's got no boost, guess he can't go anywhere.
Yeah, in that instance, you would want to air stall.
And I'm still not so so keen on the movement options, primarily because I keep thinking it's a traditional fighter, so I keep double tapping the move buttons instead of doing that, the boost move, the double X,
Yeah,
sorry. So it's like I'm doing these small, like, side boosts and forward boosts instead of the long ass boost that you can do that gets you across the level, and so that's not getting me out of the way either. And I was feeling kind of annoyed at myself for that when I noticed, because I was like, yeah, I'm not going anywhere here. These are small boosts. No wonder people can track me. Because I remember you saying about the whole deal with boost hopping to avoid tracking, but I found myself hardly using it because I was too busy flailing around with melee suits trying to wreck me, and then having to put my shield on and then use my beam pistols, because I found my beam pistols were really good as a backup and a way to kind of avoid things at close range before I used the beam sabers. But that's only because, like, most of the
yeah,
time, I ended up using dynamas more than anything else. And while we were busy playing as a duo this entire time, Sin was busy playing, what was it, F91, Bile, and the double Zeta at one point?
yeah. He uses double Zeta.
Sin will be in at some point. He said he'd be setting stuff up, but he did also say that he had to go in like an hour, and that was like 11 minutes ago. So I don't know whether he's doing something, or whether he's still getting set up or whatever. But I hope he gets in here at some point so he can give his sort of perspective, because the idea was really to address the fact that me and Sin both came away at the end of the day just like, yeah, this ain't as fun as we thought it was. And I think it's a mixture of the fact of we both don't know how to play the game really well, but we think we do. Or we've got competent and we're like, okay, we feel pretty confident now. And then we're having our asses handed to us like in the next couple of rounds, and it's just like, yeah, this doesn't feel good. And
Yeah.
I'd rather be winning than having my ass handed to me like 4 times in a row after winning about, what, 6 or 8 times? So
The way I see it is that it's just one of those games where you have to take the time to learn it.
yeah, I think, like, ultimately you were saying the first thing was about learning which suits you're familiar with, or which suits you're going to go with in terms of what you're comfortable with and what their abilities are.
Yeah, because most of the suits play different from each other. Like,
the
sure, like basic movement and stuff, with some exceptions,
I was
um, is the same throughout. But as far as like actual gameplay goes, it really takes time to learn what you're comfortable with.
I was actually expecting some of the suits that I was picking, like the Keradim, to have the GN bladed axes that it has, the beam pistols that can turn into axes. I was
Yeah,
expecting it to have those as melee weapons and have the shield bits also double up as like, I think the pistol bits or rifle bits as well, that they can double up as, because they do have like guns in the bottoms of them. But instead, no, it's just like, yeah, you can shield yourself or a friend, and then the rifle bits are primarily for shooting. So when I'm trying to use Keradim and I'm like, okay, I can poke really nicely at mid range and I can do really nice rapid fire at close range, but I have no melee options. That was when I started getting a little bit frustrated, because I'm like, I really can't defend myself here, not really well anyway. If somebody gets in close, I am just so dead. And I feel like that's what Sin's going through at the moment as well, where he, like he was saying the other day, he feels confident with the F91, but then when we went on this morning, he ended up changing around quite a lot, either because he didn't feel confident with the F91 anymore, or maybe he just wanted to try out some other stuff. But by the end of it, he almost broke his pad again, and yeah, that was not a good situation, because I mean, at the end I was getting to the point where I was just like, yeah, this ain't fun anymore.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, the fun that we had before that was great, but when you go from like a winning streak to a losing streak, that's when it becomes annoying. But who was it that
It
said?
happens.
Who was it? Sin that's. Oh no, it was King that said uh the people were coming in that were higher skill level based on how many we'd won.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that part is actually a thing, but um you definitely encounter different people of skill levels. And like I'll admit it is frustrating to go from the high of a winning streak to a losing streak, but it's something that happens
Yeah,
even in fighting games. It's kind of something to be expected at some point.
I think I think it's also a bit of that learning curve as well, like we were saying before, because with everybody. Oh, Ryuki Skynet says, "How you doing, Moody? I'm doing okay." Exram says, Dynamis' GM missiles are good. It can annoy enemies. I could not figure out how to use them. I remember saying it a couple of times. I was just, when we were panicking, I was just like, how the hell do I use these missiles? I've used them like maybe twice just by pure accident when I've been freaking out and just mashing everything. I could not figure out how to use them. So they hardly got used. Instead, it was just the shield, the pistols, the beam sniper, and then the beam saber when anyone got close. Yeah, we got footage in the background of Sin when he was playing Bile, and he's just like, right, I'm just gonna run in and wreck everything. It's like, please don't, please go away, please go away. I find that with Dynamis, the shield, like we were on about before, even though it seems to disappear quite quickly with certain suits, the shield having that up at the beginning is so helpful. Hey, Sin.
Sorry I'm late, guys. I was at the supermarket trying to get a Capri Sun. I had to beat an old lady with a stick together.
Okay, so just to get you up to speed, Sin, we've got the footage in the background from this morning, but the whole deal was just talking about, yeah, just talking about Maxi in general and how it plays and the frustration with it, because I was already saying, like, by the end of it, you and me were just like, nah, this ain't, we're saving our $60, you know?
Yeah.
I I don't know. Like I chalk it up to both of us feeling kind of confident or comfortable with certain suits, and then when we think we're decent enough, somebody will just come in and railroad us or just completely walk over us with something else, and it's just like, wait, what? How? You know,
Listen, man.
You know?
If anyone unironically uses the extreme versus, I will break their shins, dude.
So I've been talking a lot on the stream already. You take it away with the extreme versus stuff, because I got picked on by one of those, like the melee one, and it really annoyed me.
Dude, yeah, like, it has no reason to have that fucking, Listen, I'm not a professional. I don't know what these things are. But, I don't know, it has that beam attack for some reason.
Beam attack?
Because it... Yeah, the melee one has like a beam attack. I think it's like one of its final. It has like a giant beam attack that does a bunch of damage to you. Because, the devs thought it would be a good idea.
That attack is shared between all three of them. That's the burst attack.
I mean, I get that, but like, why on a melee suit? Is that even legal?
I mean, the God Gundam has that range stun that I was using that was pretty decent at mid-range.
Well, that one's fine, but like the other one's like, it doesn't just stun, it does a crazy knockdown damage. It's ridiculous.
Also,
Extreme Gundams are pretty good though.
Having to block with pressing down up joystick is weird, says Exram. Wait, what? A guy.
Yeah, to block you do down.
I did not know this before going into this, so I'm just counting on the shield. I was just like, it's all shield, man.
I told you while we were playing.
Oh, god damn it. I was too busy focusing on the counters with the Shadow Gundam with its weird thing where it puts up an iron wall quickly, and then if somebody melees it, they get countered immediately. You flick up and down to... down and... Yeah, up and down to blocks is freedom. I should have been paying more attention to that. I think at the time we were doing that, I was either freaking out or trying some other stuff. Because, like every other fighting game, you obviously have to know all of your moves, all of your abilities that you've got, like block or whatever, and counters. and how they work in different scenarios. And I feel like that's what offers a little bit of frustration as well, with the fact that you have like over 100 suits, where most fighting games only have like 20 characters or something, or Smash is ridiculous and has like, what, 30 or 40 now? Something stupid. But,
Yeah.
But even though some of the suits share the same movesets, or they share similar movesets and things, it's one of those whole things of having to go through and learn everything about every suit to be really damn good at the game from the beginning is asking a bit much of the player, you know?
Yeah.
What do you call this like genre of fighting game? Like I never even got like the proper terminology. Like, is it like a arena fighting game? Like, I don't know what kind of fighting game this is.
I think it's considered an arena fighter.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because when I was trying to explain it to Jen, because I was like, Jen, do you want to play this? And she was like, nah, I'm not so sure about it. I was like, well, it's kind of similar to the Naruto games where you just play in an arena and you just flail around and throw specials at enemies. And she was like, oh,
Yeah,
okay, so
that's exactly how it is.
the only
And like,
oh, go on.
the thing, I fucking hate these kind of games, man. I'm gonna be really honest. I really do. Not because it's weird to play or anything like that. It's just there's too much bullshit going on.
So go on.
And
go
by
into
bullshit,
that.
I mean like, and like by bullshit, I mean like, whenever you do something, and somehow the player, I don't know, just spams a button and somehow they get through. I don't know, like the game is like fucky.
So go on, give an
Like
example
things
of
don't
that.
work. Okay. Let me try like the worst fucking example. The worst, like, anger-inducing example. I remember, I think I was playing against. I don't even remember what I was playing against, but I was in the Wing Zero.
Yeah.
And I went for the melee. I hit him once. He didn't use the boost thing. You know, that little green boost. I forget the name of that thing all the time. He didn't even use that. Right. The moment I hit him, he gets stunned once. Immediately shoots me. What? Excuse me? Didn't I just earn this?
The thing I noticed when you were playing Wing Zero, and I kind of, this is the one thing that I hate about certain suits, but it's because of the balancing, they have to do this, is that some suits you can't just always be moving and firing at the same time. Like Wing Zero has a huge opening when it's using its double buster, which you can snipe it from, or you can use range attacks, because that's how I was landing hits on you, as I was just charging up the GN sniper, waiting until you were using the buster rifle, and then because you were stopping in midair, it gave me easy shots at you. And then I felt really bad afterwards because you were, at this point, you were just like, nah, I've had it, and I was just like, oh no, I'm being kind of nasty here. I'm not helping the situation.
Honestly, like, when I'm playing against my friends, I don't get upset, but at the same time, it's like, I don't get upset at them, but like, I get upset at the game because there's so much fucking bullshit going on.
So, hang on. John in chat says each suit has a command list. I mean, it's fine when each suit has a command list, but for learning moves and stuff, it's just the way that it shows it in the options menu is literally just you press a couple of these buttons and use different directions, and you should have simple inputs that you can then chain together to have some sort of an idea of what to do. I'm not saying that the command list isn't a good idea. It's just the way that it appears when you look at the options menu. It's just like, oh, this is as simple as melee. This is a simple button of fire. If you press any combination of these, either in different orders or together, and then a combination of either R2 or L2, you'll get different attacks that you can throw out. That was what I got from it. In terms of like, oh, this could be pretty simple. So in terms of it being, like a fighting game, it came across as one of those whole things of just, you can jump into it, you can figure out all the moves relatively easy without having to use the list, and you're fine. Clearly that's not the case, but Exram says some suits have a lot of assists and the battles feel like 2v5. Oh, don't even get me started. Like when me and Boti were playing as Harut and Dynamis, and I was constantly complaining about like other suits coming out of nowhere and picking on me, and it felt like it was 3 versus me and 1 versus Boti. It's like, wait, what's going on here?
Yeah, dudes like the Gunner Zaku have crazy assists.
Like, what's the deal with other suits having tons of assists like that? Is it just to balance it because they're lower cost or something?
I'm not sure. I
Uh,
think with some it's cost and others it's just a matter of the playstyle. Because I know Act Guy's assist spam.
if you hear me coughing at the same time here, I'm trying to drink some soda that's right next to me, and it is incredibly full of gas. So I'm like trying to drink, and then next minute I'm just like I'm choking on it. Freedom says melee suits have priority in this game also because they're melee suits. Oh, trying to
Yeah, they don't even tell you how each priority is. You just have to guess.
The funniest one we had was me and Boaty constantly going up against the same guy playing Exia when I was playing Shadow Gundam, and all the time
Oh
it was
yeah,
just like this Exia guy is mine, you know.
Yeah, you really love that Exia.
It's when I found out that you were way better at playing versus that guy in was it the Strike Freedom or the Freedom? Like you were easily taking him on, so I was just like, okay, Exia's pretty annoying. If I just be as annoying to him as he is to anybody else, you know, then I'll be fine. So I'm just leaping around and throwing bombs and kunai at him, and then chaining into melee. That was so funny. I think it was either that guy or it was a rare encounter with the Strike Freedom where I managed to pull off a counter on him, and it was just so funny. I wish I'd got the audio on this as well, but like the way that it worked was when I was trying to record this, it was having so much problems with like the capture card and stuff, so I had no audio, just footage, and I'm just like, okay, this is really weird, and I was like, okay, I can use this as B-roll for something. John says, this seems to be a game with a steep learning curve. If you don't put the time in, you can't really expect to excel at it. I mean, I'd say yes to that, but it's just weird.
It
Go on,
definitely is.
I'm gonna be honest. I'd rather fucking learn in GBO2 than learn in this game, dude. Learning feels like there's so many nasty things I can say about how it fucking feels learning this game.
I kind of feel the same way, to be honest, because by the end of it, when you were saying like, oh, I've had enough of this, and when Boaty was saying like, well, it's more nuanced, you just have to kind of stick with it and stuff, my brain immediately went to, you know what, I could have just played 4 hours of GBO2 and been much more happier. No, yeah. It's like, when that kind of thought is coming into your head, it's just like, oof, you've had a bad experience.
Maybe a bit, it might be a bit boring for me now, but at least it gives me a power fantasy. In this game, I feel like a fucking cuck. Like, seriously.
John says,
like, in GBO2, I feel really good.
Let's see. I swapped the controls back to Versus, says Freedom. The text chat commands on the touchpad and special melee with L1. Yeah, I wish I'd changed the controls around, to be honest, because the boost felt like it would have been better for me being L1, and I don't know why. Just having boost as the X just felt really weird to me, having to double press that instead of it being closer, where I was more used to either going for it a lot easier or faster. It's just, some of the controls felt really weird, and I feel like a lot of people are gonna benefit from changing the options or the layout so that they can benefit from it, you know, it fast. Let's see. Raven says, speaking of GBO2, screw that game. The idiots are at it again. Wait, what? Hey, Zero. Exam says, how many character moves many of the character moves are referenced in the show. For example, the Gun Easy has a lot of assists because in the show, the Gun Easy is a unit of 6 members and they're trying to replicate it. I mean, I'm alright with references to stuff. The thing is, like, how balanced it feels at the end of the day. This is coming from a guy who's literally just picked this up and is like, yeah, I kind of expected it to be a little bit of an easier of a time playing this, but clearly I went in the deep end and I am not used to this. You know, I will admit my own faults and the fact that yeah, you probably need to spend a lot more time with it. But just off the initial, like, I went in 2 hours on my own, and I was like, I'm still not enjoying this. I think the only reason I enjoyed the other 4 hours, because I put in 6 hours today in total. No wonder my hands are erect now. The only time that I actually enjoyed this was the time that I spent playing with Sin and Boaty and King, who isn't here at the moment. Like, I don't know where he is. I would have invited him in if he was around, but I can't find him at the moment. But it was more
He's
fun.
doing king stuff.
It was way more fun playing with friends, just like GBO, than it was playing versus randoms, because I feel like randoms... Like, with us, we could have a laugh and try a load of different stuff out and not take it seriously. Whereas playing v randoms, the randoms just seem to pick, like, the most scummiest stuff ever and just go with it. You know, and again, it's that whole thing with GBO 2 when we were first playing it, where I was just like, okay, no bazooka down swinging because it's scummy. I feel like a lot of people will choose the easier stuff that just really, really, really annoys people and just stick with that and just keep winning over and over and over. And thus it kind of ruins the experience for me a little bit. I'm not against multiplayer in general. It's just when people are being really, really nasty, that's when it kind of ruins the experience. And I think Sin didn't at one point you mentioned that it felt pretty crap versus randoms as well.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I won occasionally, but at the same time, it just didn't it didn't feel fun winning. It really didn't.
I mean,
like, oh my god. Yeah, I did cool things once in a while. But fucking god, like, it feels boring to play this game, and it just, the fact that I get pissed off when I lose just adds more to it.
Yeah, it's like I was saying it. It's kind of annoying when you lose, but you've been feeling confident with the suit. And then you think, okay, I should be at least doing better than I am. And then when you lose like that, then it feels like you've just had your ass handed to you, like, really badly. Speaking of that oh no, I was gonna say, speaking of that Exia player, and it isn't him. Like, me and I was saying before, me and Boaty came up against this Exia player, and I must have stalked him for at least 6 matches, because, like, it became a joke of just being like, okay, I'm just going for this Exia again, and we saw him only use a couple of different suits, so most of the time he was just playing Exia and just going in with the GN, was it beam gun that it's got on its sword arm, and then switching to sword and then just going in, and I was like, okay, he's going to stun with the daggers as well, so if I can keep him from lunging around all over the place, then at least he won't have a couple of free hits off his stuns. So I'm just going around like a madman in Shadow Gundam, just throwing kunais and stuff. It's when I eventually got used to using Shadow Gundam a little bit better, because Shadow Gundam's one of its main attacks is that it can throw a net at people that either stuns them or slows them down a little bit. And that was really useful for setting up some really nasty punishments in Melee.
Yeah.
Let's see. Zero says, I would get this, but money. Yeah, I don't have the money, which is why I was playing this, because I was like, I don't have the money, but if I did, you know, I was considering it, and then this is one of those moments where it's just like, yeah, I'm still kind of not so sure about it, you know. At the end of the... At the end of the day, I'd have to play it exactly like I did GBO in terms of just being like, right, we're going to get a full server of everybody from Discord, and we're just going to play like that and with nobody else, because I wouldn't be able to have fun any other way on this game, honestly. No, because at least in friendly games, we can have some silly stuff like where Boaty was playing the At Guy.
At Guy's actually a really good unit in this game.
To be honest, when you picked him, I was like, what's he picked? I didn't really pay attention, and then next minute you're playing Waddles, and I was like, wait a minute, Waddles? Is Waddles good in this? And then next minute we win, and I'm just like, oh, Waddles must be real good. So there's some units that you don't expect to be amazing, and then they turn out to be pretty decent. It's just like, oh, okay. Weird.
Yeah.
Exram says, I mean, in Gundam Full Boost, the full armor unicorn was broken. Arguably the best character. He was nerfed in this game, but honestly, it's still a great suit. It's just not broken anymore. I mean, it's good that they've addressed balancing issues from previous games then. I mean, not that I would know, because like I said, I've only played the PSP and one before this, and then a little bit of Versus. So I wouldn't know, but like in terms of balancing, from my perspective anyway, this felt like all over the place with how the way that combat felt. Like I showed Jenna, and she turned around and went, "This just looks like GBO, but with less balancing." I was like, wait, what? And this is just Jen's first time looking at it. I was like, wait, what's that comment? And she didn't really follow up on that, but I kind of took it as, okay, in GBO, at least you can move around the battlefield and get some hits in on people, whereas on this one, it's like, if they just keep stun locking you, you can't really do much. No. Although then again, that's the same with GBO, where if you just infinite stun somebody, they can't do anything, so I really don't know about that comment. I'll have to ask later on or something. We had, what was it, a fight versus the Alex with its Chobam armor that proved to be not as good as it was made out to be. I think, Boaty, didn't you mention about the Chobam armor to me?
Oh, the Chobam armor is good.
I mean, when I saw it get used, when I think it was Sin playing the double Zeta, it was either the double Zeta or the F91, and then the Alex being played by somebody else. That Alex got its Chobam armor completely wrecked, like real fast. So I was just like, oh, okay, guess I can just keep my GN shield and then just sniping it like crazy.
Well, the thing about the Chobam armor is that like I said, it's like Dynamis' shield, but it's on full body in 360 degree. So it kind of it blocks everything while it's active.
Yeah.
And that includes melee attacks. Like, it completely nullifies them. You can pretty much punish melee units at their own game with it.
That's the one thing that I found was a little bit annoying for me, is how it, and this is only when playing, you probably won't be able to tell, or you might not notice in video format, but sometimes when you're waiting to either recover or turn round, I don't know about you guys, but with me having to rely on Dynamis' shield for, you know, sort of a backup to make sure I didn't take too much damage all at once. Honestly, it felt like it was taking forever to turn round. I was just like, nope, this is not good. So, I don't know. Like, John's saying Japanese players are just better at this kind of game. Well, I mean, they've had it for ages in the arcades, haven't they? Because I remember Ion saying it was a port.
Yeah, it's a port.
So, I mean, if they've had it in the arcades for years, then...
I think just the fact that it's a port makes it, like, the price still, like, not even worth it. $60 fucking dollars full price.
I mean,
that's a no.
It was out in 2016, right, for arcade?
I think so.
I mean, I'm inclined to kind of agree with Cinder on that and say it's a bit too steep charging that much for a game that's like 4 years old, even if it has had balancing tweaks and things. I mean, $60 over here is, I'm going to say, between 50 and 60 British pounds. It's not exactly the same, but it's pretty steep. And I don't want to be one of those boomers that's just like, yeah, I remember when games used to be 40, because 40 used to be really expensive, but I definitely think that, you know, like the maximum I would pay for this is 40 straight out the gate, purely because of how old it is. And that's not me just that's just
after, if you consider its age and my fucking experience with this game, I'd pay 10. I'd pay 10.
I mean, at least
Halo Reach is $10, and I've had much better experience.
I mean, at least I'm not saying that I'd rather play New Gundam Breaker over this, you know, because
I don't think anyone in their right mind would say that.
I'm just comparing it because of that being like 100 yen now. So it's like I would still play this over New Breaker and have fun, but like I said, it'd have to be with friends because it's so punishing playing other people that you can't just sort of shrug off at the end of the day and be like, oh, we're just messing. It's all fun and laughs, isn't it, guys? You know. Adrian says, I doubt there's enough content there for 60. I'm not entirely sure. Adrian says, bought NGB on Steam. Shifty face. It's
Oh no.
it's okay. We won't mention that. Let's just move on from Adrian's. But let's just think that never happened. Zero says the main thing that would make me get this game is if it had a narrative. Isn't it just like a standard arcade thing where you choose a route through it, you go through it, and then you fight the Extreme Gundam at the end, and then that's it?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure in the other versions they have the narrative. Like,
No.
yeah, don't they have the narrative in other versions? Like they have the C packs and the B packs.
No. We meant like story mode.
No, like story.
Oh, I thought you meant like the
Narrative
Gundam.
We'll just
I'm
ignore that
fucking
bit.
dumb.
No, it's fine. We can call that. It totally didn't happen. Oh no! Zero actually did mean the narrative Gundam. Okay, so Sim was right.
Oh.
I thought you meant story.
Yeah, Extreme versus 2 has narrative Gundam. Which, I mean, if you think this game's frustrating, be glad it's not Extreme versus 2.
Why? How bad is that? Or do I not want to know?
I find it hilarious that the BD one has a gym assist, but the moment you turn an exam on, you don't even let the gym shoot, you just fucking throw the fucker at the enemy.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, you throw gyms in the BD one with the exam on. I think they're like an A-posing gym, I think.
I was trying to remember whether I've seen any other like really wacky stuff while I was playing this, but I don't think so, to be honest. Like the only other things I've seen is like when you use Shadow Gundam and you call in for an assist and Rain comes in the Rising Gundam and shoots an arrow at him. It's like, oh, okay, that's pretty neat. I've not seen anything that's kind of like really sort of out of there and me being like, wait a minute, what just happened? You know, weird.
Yeah, I have a friend who's very knowledgeable about the Extreme versus series. And according to him anyway, Extreme versus 2 is like, sure, this game has its flaws in terms of balancing and stuff.
Yeah.
But Extreme versus 2 is just chock full of bullshit.
Oh, you want to see bad balancing? Just come here. Like, oh no. Chat says, I mean, it got an arcade mode and the Maxi Boost mission mode. From what I understand is that you start a narrative line, you get greeted with one of the CGI intros for either that suit that you're playing or something else, or from that era, and then you just play and beat the Extreme Gundam at the end.
Yeah.
Adrian says, anyway, this game looks like it should be free to play, and you pay $2 to $5 for a mobile suit. No. That's just a terrible idea. Don't give them ideas. No offense, by the way. It's one of those things where I just think like paying for individual characters would make this like really bad. I've always.
Okay, I just had.
Go on.
Keep talking.
Alright, I was gonna say I've always been against stuff like that with fighting games where it's like, oh, you can pay for extra characters or whatever, or you can just pay for the characters that you want to play. It's like, well, if I have to experiment first, then do I get a preview mode with that character or what? You know, it's
Yeah.
they did it in Dead or Alive, and I've been off it since. Let's see. $2 to $5 says Double Side for all 184 plus suits. I'd rather pay $60. Yeah, in that situation, I'd side with Double Side. Exram says the thing with the pricing.
Which side?
The thing with the pricing is that even of it just in Japan, it will definitely sell. This version of the game cannot be found in arcades anymore, only its upgraded form. If they've taken it out of arcades, then yeah, it'll be the new way to play it, and people will flock to it, so it'll have a large player base then.
Oh yeah, Maxi Boost on has been out of the arcades for a while.
So
it's Extreme versus 2 now.
So if anybody liked this over Extreme versus 2 and decided, you know what, I can play it again now and get it on PS4, then of course that's going to be the target audience. And for anybody who is a fan of Gundam and maybe hasn't tried it before and has decided, you know, I'll throw 60 at him and jump in and see what it's like.
From my understanding, even the Japanese player base considers considers Extreme versus 2 to be a bit questionable with its balancing.
You know, it's crazy when the Japanese are like, excuse me, I don't think this balancing is pretty good, you know. Trixie says, it's nice to see the TV version of Death Scythe, hell again. It's better than seeing the Endless Waltz versions all the time. I'm kind of getting sick of Kotoki's designs. Like, we've already had like a million rehashes of the Wing Zero, and then we get that new version of it that's been announced recently that's apparently set everybody off. And I was just like, oh, we get the TV versions of Death Scythe and Ultron again, so I'll play it and see what happens. It was weird, like trying to fight Sin in the Double Zeta here, and Boaty's like, if you use the cloak, it makes it so you can't be targeted. And I'm like, okay, I try and use the cloak, and then Sin just high megas me in the face at point blank. I'm just like, excuse me, I'm supposed to stop tracking.
It doesn't make it so they can't target you. It just makes it so weapons won't have that slight curve with tracking.
No, you see, I understood it differently. When you said it stops targeting, I just took it as, yeah, it removes the targeting reticle so that they can't target you. I was like, okay, this sounds great. So I've been using it completely the wrong way.
It cuts tracking.
I took it the wrong way then. Like, I've just seen Sin just high mega my face off at the end of the match. So it's just like, yeah. I was trying to cloak myself to avoid being attacked. Thank you very much.
Guys, you wanna know this game's biggest fucking problem?
Go on.
The BD1 isn't.
The BD1 isn't what? I cut you off there.
The BD1 isn't fun.
I think it's pretty fun.
For me, it's. Oh my god. It's like being thrown to a shit-filled sewage pipe. What the fuck? Dude, how do you fuck up? Man, I don't get this game anymore. I'm shutting this shit off. I've been playing this entire time while we've been talking, by the way.
Oh god.
I'm fucking done with this game. I am so fucking.
John, I'm not gonna repeat that one to him because I think it'll just trigger him even more.
Go just say it.
John's like, you just need to get good, Sin.
Oh my god, actually, okay, you shouldn't have said that.
Dude, you asked for it.
I swear to God. I know, but don't worry. I asked for that. Now John is asking for this. Give me your address. I'm breaking your fucking legs.
He doesn't mean that, John.
Yes, I do.
I'm trying to be nice here. Zero says Zero and Double Side say BD1 seems fun though, or is fun.
I don't know. I tried playing the BD1 at the beginning. It just didn't do much, and then like I tried playing like last weekend, didn't do much. I fucking hated it. Tried playing now. What the fuck am I doing anymore? Just gonna throw this game in the fucking garbage.
Yeah. Like, I was experiencing that before.
How do you make a BD1 fan hate his own fucking suit, dude? How? Oh my god. At least I'll appreciate the GBO2 BD1.
Xram says.
At least that fulfills my power fantasy.
Xram says the strategy Bandai had is that they keep the game in the arcades for a few years, then they upgrade the game and add changes, and then take out the vanilla version from the arcade and port it to console. I mean, that makes sense because they make more money off it that way. It's an interesting and effective plan. Oh, because instead of people paying like what, a couple of dollars or a couple of yen or something for a playthrough, or however much you want to say the average person spends at an arcade in Japan, God knows, say like 1,000 yen or something, 2,000 yen maybe. It's like compared to a $60 game, they're getting way more off that $60 game than they are just somebody spending like say $20. It depends how many sort of times they go back and spend that sort of amount at the arcade. Zero says for the VD1, try doing side jumps into missiles, then melee rush down. Or
That's what I was watching the videos.
Double Side says use the E-Freak custom instead.
No, man, no.
I think Ion's using the E-Freak custom.
E-Freak custom is a beast.
Oh, there's that Cassie
I
Gundam.
get that, but I fucking love the BD1. They've essentially ruined it for me.
I'm watching the.
Isn't it fun throwing GMs at people?
It's that's fun. That's the only fun part of it, honestly. If you want me to be really honest.
I mean, hey, consider this: in full boost, you couldn't enter exam at all until you burst.
What the fuck? I mean, whatever. At this point, I just don't want to think about this fucking game.
The there were a couple of suits that were really annoying me throughout all of this, and I think one of the most annoying ones was the Cassie Gundam here, because I'm just watching the footage of it, and I remember just getting wrecked by it a couple of times and just being like, okay, I guess I can't do anything. No.
Yeah, Sea Gundam is a thing.
I just did not like it, and the fact that it has the, what is it, the Mesa for support or something, that is a big bulky boy that can just annoy you just as much. It's just like, oh no. And then there was a heavy arms that was backing it up that wrecked me because I came down trying to avoid one and then getting wrecked by the other. Like, some of the picks that I had for this, just experimenting, were really stupid, I'll admit that, but, like, just fighting against some of the other stuff was more infuriating. Like, picking heavy arms and thinking, okay, at least I've got melee weapon as backup, and then not figuring out how to use the melee weapon and only having Daka that does little bits of chip damage. It's just like, ugh. Ed says, hey Moody, who's getting the game? I mean, I think me and Sin are probably going to give it a pass at this point. Primarily because we want to save money and not get frustrated. No.
Listen, I'm going to save money for that EW with your overcop, bro.
What, the Snow White
I
one?
think... No, like, you know the new MG Verka?
Isn't that the Snow White
coming
one?
out? No, it's normal EW one.
Wait, so what's the difference between that and all the other versions that have been released?
This is essentially just a Wing Zero EW 2.0.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, I still appreciate it. I've actually been waiting for one, but, you know, I know a lot of people are disappointed.
Is the original terrible then, or what?
It's very old. Yeah. It's very old. Like, they got ball joints for, like, the leg and hip joints. The, you know, color separation. It's not.
I was going to say, because, like, whenever I've heard anybody else talking about the old MG for Wing, they've always said, like, yeah, the inner frame is more or less the same. You know, for all of them, so it's shared across, like, the Death Scythe, the Wing, so what you get is, like, the same sort of strength in terms of inner frame, so if it's flimsy, then the chances are that most of the other ones are going to be flimsy. Let's see.
The Death Scythe hell will be flimsy.
Everybody answering Ed's thing in chat here. Double Side's got the game pre-ordered. Exam's got it pre-ordered. Freedom's got it pre-ordered. Honestly,
I got it pre-ordered.
Boaty's got it pre-ordered. Yeah, John's got it pre-ordered as well. I feel like John and Ion have got it pre-ordered, I think. Because I know John's got it pre-ordered on the actual console, because John was trying to talk me into getting it, and today has just kind of put me off it. I'd say if I can save money and use that money on something else that's more useful, then I will. I think Sin had to go. Yeah. Oh no, wait. You alright, Sin?
Sorry, I had to restart Discord because for some reason my headphones weren't working on it.
Oh, it's cool, dude. You know what Discord's like.
It's
occasionally
right,
it just messes up.
Know that we'll never forgive you.
Hey, young. So yeah, overall, it's like, it's not an amazing experience. Like everybody said in chat, it definitely takes a lot of getting used to and learning. And it isn't one of those games that you can just easily jump in and find yourself winning matches. Instead, it's more of a case of taking a lot of time to learn the suits and what they're good at and what they're not good at and all the abilities and everything else. And if you can invest time in it, then I imagine you'll get a lot better experience out of it. If you're going into this for the first time, like me, or you're coming off a much more simpler version, like the PSP one, and you're just like, okay, I've not played with anybody else, I'm just versus AI, and versus the AI is kind of okay for me. I'll see what it's like versus players and stuff. And then you find yourself getting your ass handed to you by players, well then it's generally not going to be a very good of a time for you, unless you sink many, many hours into it. I think that's the general consensus for at least a couple of people that kind of expected it to be just that little bit simpler. Young says, For some reason, I've never been interested in these type of Gundam games. I mean, I think the whole thing with me being more into GBO2 than this is just the fact that I kind of like the battlefield simulation that GBO2 has, and the more slow-paced gameplay, especially with how things are at the moment with me. So, like, after playing 6 hours of this with about an hour break in between, maybe, my hands have felt on fire again today, and my left wrist, the one that was recovering really well and the one that's had the most injury on it, yeah, that's not feeling as good as it was this morning. So definitely not a good choice for me to actually try this. It was just like everybody was there saying, oh, you got to try it at some point, and I was like, okay, I feel a little bit confident. And then, like we were saying at the beginning, time just flies when you play this thing. Like, if you're winning or losing, no matter what, time just flies. And
you have to give the game that, though.
It eats time. Like,
It's
I thought
great for eating time.
I thought GBO2 was good at eating time, because by the time you finish the match and a lobby session, 15 minutes have gone. But this is like, you can play a lot of matches and then suddenly realize 4 hours has gone, and you're like, wait a minute, how many matches did I play? It's messed up. If I could get into this many matches and complete them on GBO2 as well, I'd be so happy. Because I actually don't like that large amount of downtime in between games, but, what can you do? Exam says, I'm actually not a fan of pre-orders, but in case I know this is a case where I know exactly what I'm getting and willing to spend the money. Yeah, I mean, with this demo at least, you kind of see exactly what you get in, and you get to test out all the suits, seemingly, or at least I think it's all the suits, apart from the Lupus Rex that John said is like a pre-order thing.
All the suits except for Lupus Rex.
I mean, I imagine the Lupus Rex isn't going to be much different to the other versions, primarily because it's not as if it's got like the wrench mace or anything. So Young says GBO is 30 minutes just waiting for a match. Nah, if you can get everybody together, it isn't 30 minutes waiting for a match. Like, if we could just put out a chat thing and be like, right, like, if I would have played GBO2 today instead of this, and just put a message out saying, guys, GBO2 ready, we could have got a match going in like 5-10 minutes easily.
Could we?
Yeah, but at the end of the day, I at least had that little bit of fun with you guys. Like, I'm not gonna deny that. That was fun when we were actually having a laugh and doing some really silly stuff and actually pulling off some funny wins. But the rest of it was incredibly painful, and most of the time had me like, wait a minute, what am I doing here? What's going on? Why is everything going wrong?
It happens.
Yeah.
I have a friend who's like really good at the game, and I call him a bully for it.
So like,
but he's good at the game, and he experiences that whole thing where after a while things just go completely downhill, and he starts messing up inputs and everything.
Yeah.
So it's definitely not something that you should be like, oh, is this a me thing or anything like that. It's definitely something that happens.
I feel like that whole thing about, oh, is it just me or whatever, that is purely amplified by, how confident you get and how many times you've won. It's kind of like gambling a little bit, where it's like, you can go so long and keep winning, and then you'll just come up against something that completely ruins your streak, and it's just like, wait a minute, what? And then you just really beat yourself up about it. I think it's not like other fighting games where you can kind of go backwards and forwards, kind of rubber banding on health bars and be like, okay, I'm pretty confident with my moveset. If I just catch this guy off guard, this seems like more of a case of if you have an early lead and you continue to kind of keep the enemy at a decent range, or you manage to keep them pinned with your kit, then you just win. I mean, that's kind of what I was experiencing, because like when you and me were playing Boaty, I found that most of the time when I was playing higher cost suits, the problem that I had was we only had like 2 lives, And the live system in it is one thing that I couldn't get used to because I was expecting like just something a little bit more different. I mean, I can understand why the cost is there to kind of balance the higher powered suits. It was just really weird for me to be like, okay, we're on 1 life left, don't die, and I'm on like 2 health, and I'm like, wait a minute, what?
The cost
that was frustrating.
Has, always been like that though, even since Next Plus on the PSP and even like the first games.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd just forgotten about it because it's been forever since I've played the PSP version. But yeah, it was really weird. Like that was one of the most stressful situations was where we'd get put in a situation where it'd either be me alive or you alive, and I'm like, I'm sorry, they just picked on me the entire match, or you'd be like, yeah, dude, I'm sorry, I've tried doing my best here, but there's only you left, and I'm just like, oh no, I'm looking at my health bar, and my health bar's got like 70 health on it. I'm just like, oh, I'm dead. That was really stressful. It was funny though, constantly seeing you just wreck people in the Harut. Like that was just
like
so
right
funny.
Here with my missiles coming in behind the God Gundam.
We just seen that footage playing where the God Gundam's trying to follow you, and then next minute the missiles just hit him in the back and explode him. It was just like, oh, okay. Ed says, Young says, I don't like the customization in this because it's practically non-existent. Freedom says, it's because you can't paint your suits like Transformers. Ed says, you want to spend time to understand the concept of how the game plays. It's much faster than GBO2. You really need to pay attention to what's going on per match. I try, but it's a complete mess most of the time. I won't break a 3, but PSN Plus irks me, says Zero. Young says, I think it's because I like breaker customization. Breaker customization has always been really good for Gundam. It's like the best customization. Honestly, I think that Gundam Next Plus on PSP is a better arena fighter game, says Exram. Ooh, interesting. That's one thing I don't think we've heard of yet, is somebody actually turning around and being like, yeah, the PSP version seemed better than this.
I personally think Next Plus is a little stiff.
I'm gonna have to find my copy of it and maybe go back to playing it at some point when I'm a little bit better. Because like I'm sat here just chilling out with doing this and watching the footage, and honestly my hands feel really, really hot still from like this morning when we played this. I'm just oh, I remember why I got annoyed at that Exia before. I'm just seeing the footage now. It's where I'm trying to help you, and then he's constantly coming to try and ambush me from the side. Trixie says, when it comes to Breaker, I've thought about building my own version of the Dawn Barrage since I use it so much in GBO2. The thing I like about Breaker is just that you can take almost any part that's currently available in kit form and then just bash it together and have your own suit. And then the thing is, if you've got enough money, you can then make that in real life. It's pretty neat. Enjoy that. But yeah, in terms of versus, there are a lot of people in chat that are obviously way better at playing that are going to get way more enjoyment out of this than I am. Almost hiccup there on stream. It's just crazy.
Oh, there's where I nuked myself and the 00.
Wait, what happened there?
I nuked myself and the 00 riser and got us the win.
I didn't even notice. Wasn't Gundam Next stages supposed to be bigger than the stages on this game? I don't know.
I don't know.
Alright, I'm gonna get going because I gotta go eat dinner.
Yeah, it's no problem, man. I was gonna say I'm gonna call it now because we've more or less covered all the sort of topics I wanted to cover and thoughts about this anyway. Right, thank you both very much for staying with me, and thank you very much everyone else for listening to us potentially rant and talk about the game for about an hour. So,
no problem.
Yeah, hope you've enjoyed, and we'll see you on the next one.
See ya.